Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, meathead. I mean, because as you all know that have QuickBooks, you can put any goddamn thing you want in QuickBooks, right? And at least a review, the accountants have looked at the shit and, you know, the numbers are reasonably close, or they are the numbers. Guys, I'm trying to save you time. Remember, you heard Peter, 7 months and 3 months and 4 months, I forget, that he spent on these deals that never happened. And you want to know why it took the poor bastards a year. A couple of you, man, I don't understand why it takes so long. Because you're so desperate to do a deal, and you also heard he said, Mr. Peña said he's lying to you. He says, because they are. There's no code of conduct between selling a business. There's no Marcus of Queensberry, right, and they do the right thing by it. That's all horseshit. Maybe in the movies, but that doesn't even happen in the movies. I mean, you have to go on the assumption they're trying to fuck you. And the more they get away from audited financials, they're fucking you. And then even after, they've convinced their auditors to put something down, or depreciate it over 30 years instead of 10 years straight line. There's something. And when you go to the due diligence, you don't just accept the goddamn audited numbers like the Bible. That's the starting point. I'm knocking the motherfucking price down. Because in Poland, if it's a Polish accountant, fuck, it may be not even 1,000% close to the numbers they give you. Remember, Nelly said 2/3 of the KPMG auditors were struck off and they made them bankers. The only reason they didn't fire them, put them in jail, because, I mean, it would look bad for the country. More importantly, it would look bad for KPMG. And so now they're in the front of the office of bankers fucking around with Nelly. But those same KPMG accountants are doing great things for Jason Nagy. When you get in the third, fourth world countries, you have to assume, for starters, they're fucking you where you breathe. No exceptions. And Poland is one of those. Germany, just even Sauerbrucken, but Germany is legit as hell. They go out of their way, to make sure things are accurate. And we can thank Mr. Hitler for that. I'm just guessing these numbers are between 25 and 50% wrong. My experience in Poland, in that area, 25 and 50% wrong. And when you find these things that they're wrong, they look at you like they made a mistake. Like it was an honest mistake. Oh, we overlooked that. Yeah.
What about if they come back with the argument, yeah, but we have all this amount in inventory. We have all this amount in raw materials.
Okay, well, that's going to be on your balance sheet. So, I mean, you're paying for that. Fine. Oh, I often used to say in manufacturing, but it's not on site. I don't see it anywhere. No, we got it off site. Well, then you can keep it. I don't want it. And then they go in a panic. So I've had manufacturing deals where they borrow material. They borrow 35 tons of iron. They borrow 5 tons of steel. They borrow 100,000 pounds of gravel. And they, 25 truckloads of wood. And then when you close, it's not there. And the lazy auditors assume because it's there, they own it. And I told you the first day, my favorite of all time is the $2 billion deal from about 15, 18 years ago. China goes public on the London Stock Exchange, not the small exchanges, the big one. JP Morgan and Bank of America were the deals. And they sent a junior team to do the due diligence, a junior team of guys, young MBAs. That as soon as they land, all they did is get sucked and fucked. They're there 10 days, they come back, they sign off on these documents. They drove by some stuff, and the Chinese guy said, that's ours. And they can't tell the lettering, so we don't really know who owns it, right? Not one Chinese guy in the audit team. Oh, fuck. I mean, anyway, and so, and they had a CFO who was a really high-profile Chinese professional lady out of Goldman Sachs or someplace, really good, first class, to be the face of the deal on the stock exchange. They make all the presentations of the institution, blah, blah, blah. The thing's oversubscribed. It comes out at 8 pounds. It goes to 12 pounds right away. And then the numbers are due in about 5 months. No numbers. No press conference. You know how you're going to talk about the numbers? Nothing. They closed their offices in London. They closed their offices in Beijing. They closed their offices in Shanghai. And so they send a team over. I've seen you guys. They go out, and the buildings are there. They don't say what they're supposed to. We got Chinese guys. Now, what the fuck's that say? Completely different industry, completely different thing. And they open the sliding doors, empty. Building after building, empty. Building after building, empty. 20-some buildings empty. They go to the suburbs where the other, empty. They go to the next, no buildings at all. And when I was over there as a guest of the government in 2008-9, they showed me 20 companies. I liked only 2. Power generation I liked. There was 17 power plants I was going to buy. And I said, well, tomorrow morning we're going to go see him. And he says, oh, it's an 18-hour drive. You don't want to go. And my young MBA son, God love him, he says, I'll have a helicopter here. It's 9 o'clock, Dad. All the little Chinese guys turned white. The next morning we show up, no Chinamen. We take a helicopter out, no power plants. No power plants. They had already been sold to the Russians 6 years before. There were no power plants when they sold them to the Russians too. But if you remember back, when the Minister of Energy, the Chinese guy, committed suicide, maybe 10, 15 years, that was the guy. And the Russians took care of him. Because you don't sell the Russians a pile of shit and think that you're going to get away with it. This happens all the time. And what do you think they're going to do to you? You don't know shit from apple butter. They're going to fuck you for practice. They're going to fuck your mother for practice if she's still alive. They're going to fuck your daughter if she's 3. It's ugly out there, kids, but you can do it if you stay within the guidelines and don't get outside the parameters. And don't do business here. Question, yes, ma'am.
For the sake of saving herself time when her husband...
I thought she was going to say for the sake of God. Okay, never mind. I got to clear my head again. Go ahead.
Okay, no, for the sake of saving time, since this was this cold approach from his business broker, could she have asked for something additional with this to save herself
You mean
time?
well, the business broker's only going to give you this. He's not going to give you anything else. Out there in the world, it's called caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. Nobody cares about you except maybe your mother. That's it. And I don't recommend you do business with your mother. I've seen mother cut heads off sons. Mary Kay Cosmetics. I just knew her briefly. When she was 900 years old. You know, they drive the pink Cadillacs and sell makeup and shit. She decided to retire, and she put her son in charge, the CEO of but she still maintained the voting trust, which she had control. After 3 years, she came back. She tried to convince her son, and in a shareholders meeting, a bloody shareholders meeting, she chopped them up and threw them to the dogs and took over again at age 82 or 3. Blood's thicker in water and money's thicker in both. Just remember that. So they're not going to give you any information. And if they're not going to give you real numbers, you're wasting your time. Another thing you can do, which is a little dicey, let's say that it's a compilation from a real auditor. Not one of the bullshit Polish auditors. I mean a reputable auditor. You call up the audit partner. Off the record, and there's nothing off the record. Off the record, is this for real? Look around. I don't know what you're talking about. That means no. I don't know what you're talking about. That means no. He did you a solid. You should buy him a bottle of whiskey at Christmas. Because these guys don't like seeing it. It's bad for business when, somebody fucks, I don't want to say white people, but I mean non-ethnic people. It's bad for business. More recent or more current to World War II, people like to fuck the Germans for a lot of obvious reasons I don't have to go into. But that's way past now. That attitude is way past. Even though she lives in Hippieville over there, or the Hippieville. Any other things about this? Yes, sir.
It could be that these guys want to see their value in the market because
Maybe.
I mean, they're selling the revenue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nobody pays dollar for revenue. I mean, nobody. And that's essentially what they're asking. Not essentially, it is what they're asking. Now, I remember your husband. He's not a dumb guy. He's a smart guy. I mean, I don't believe a business broker would think after meeting him that they're pulling the wool over his eyes. As I remember, he's a pretty switched on guy. So, but embarrassing offer. Your first offer on whatever you're going to buy is going to be embarrassing. Okay? Let's say at least 20, 30, 40% than you should offer. And then you let them knock you around and, well, that's embarrassing, etc. This is an embarrassing offer. This is way, way beyond the Valley of the Dolls offer, I mean. But back in the day when they were taking advantage of the Middle Easterners, in the 70s, when they had all the money, they'd buy a Mercedes, and it'd run out of gas from the Heathrow Airport to London. They just leave it, get a cab. They left Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Bugattis. They just leave. When they ran out of gas, they left them. Back in those days, an Arab would buy this. A Middle Eastern that has too much money, like our friend from Qatar here. That money, I mean, that's really a silk lined gold top coat he's wearing there. And legitimately, a cab driver would charge a poor Middle Easterner when they were wearing the robes and everything, just like the picture I have of you, 1,000 pounds for a cab ride. The cab is then it was about 28, 35 pounds. Now it's about 60 pounds. And they would do that. And there were special laws to protect the Middle Easterners that didn't understand. And to the sellers, you're the Middle Easterners to take advantage of. Anything else about this deal? Yes, sir.
What is this?
This sounds like an Antofagasta deal to me in Chile. Go ahead.
What is the supposition about the debt service?
Pardon?
What is the supposition about the debt service?
What do you mean, the
how
position?
much the debt service is going to be?
I mean, the cash flow should cover debt at least 1.5 to 4 times. The closer you are to 4, the better you are.
No, I know, but how do you know how much the debt service is going to be?
Well, because you're going to know if you buy something for $1 million and you're going to have 50% commercial debt. So what is the debt service on $500,000? And you're going to say at 5% a year, that's $25,000 a year. So I mean, you're going to learn that you just close enough, and it's better because now debt service or the amount the banks, commercial banks, have you pay is around 5%. If you're in a shitty place like South Africa, it's 8 to 10%, as Zanelli said. Other places, so you're going to know. You just know how much everybody's paying debt. And if you paid attention to the guys that have gone through here, they're all paying, except for Nelly, who's in Africa, they're all paying about 5%. But interest rates are low now. Now, the QLA model worked when interest rates were 20%. That means the deals had to be 3-4 times better. Does everybody understand that? If interest rates are, let's say, 15% instead of 5%, cash flow's got to be 3 times better. And we made billionaires then. Now, the old-time guys, I mean, it's like, they would also say it's like taking candy from a baby. If you can't make a deal work, and if you've studied my tapes, I say, if 2 or 3% increased debt service charge kills your deal's not worth a shit. If you can't do deals at 5%, I mean, somebody ought to kill you, metaphorically speaking. They're given, by the way, 31-year high in inflation last month for 31 years, okay? The real rate is 6.5%. You're getting negative 6.5% on your cash. Like we have a lot of cash, so we're losing supposedly 6.5% every month, or annual for 6.5% for a year. We don't give a shit, you know. It's I kind of have the attitude of the bit fuckers. I mean, I got more money than I can take me to spend in 200 lifetimes. I don't give a fuck how high inflation is, unless they debase my money. And that's what's going to happen. That's the only way that we're going to cure the deficits around the world is to debase 100% of the currencies. 100%. That's the only way. And you'll never hear anybody on TV, the talking heads, you'll never hear a politician say that. And we all know that's true, just as we know why the rich countries don't give the poor countries money to help them with climate change. There are certain absolutes in the world, and hardly any of them does anybody talk about, because you can't take the truth. Homo sapien, and especially little turds like this, can't take the truth. Allegedly tough Cubans can take the truth, but they can't take the truth either. Nobody can take the truth. Just imagine if you woke up Monday morning and everything you own is worth 50%. Now, 50% of nothing is still nothing, so for some of you it won't hurt. But for a few of you, I mean, that's devastating. But nobody talks about it. I'd like to have a talk show on Sunday, BBC. You know, they have a talk show called here Hard Talk. Fuck. They don't talk about anything that's hard. Unless the guy's got a heart on under the desk I don't see. Hard talk my ass. Okay, YouTube.